Welcome to the Global Risk Podcast, brought to you by Solace Global. In this edition of Regional Flashpoints, our intelligence analyst, Joshua George, highlights key developments to monitor across the globe. From energy policy in Taiwan and civil liberties concerns in London, to anti-tourism protests in Venice and far-right activity in Australia. We also look at Ecuador, where a recent surge in gang violence follows the extradition of a major criminal figure, raising concerns about further instability in the weeks ahead. Let's begin with the key events shaping the current risk landscape.
First is the Taiwan referendum on August 23rd, whereby Taiwanese citizens vote on whether to restart their last operating nuclear power plant, which was shut down earlier this year. The vote is important both in terms of geopolitics and domestic electoral politics. First, because Taiwan imports the majority of its energy and is vulnerable to a blockade by the PRC, the question of domestically produced energy becomes crucial in the context of cross-strait tensions. And second, because the vote occurs during a broader political crisis centred on controversial recall votes involving members of the opposition parties like the Kuomintang. The next notable event is the Notting Hill Carnival in London between the 23rd and 25th of August. This is the biggest street festival in Europe and the second largest in the world, following the carnival in Rio de Janeiro. This year, the event has the potential to become a driver of civil unrest, largely due to the fact that the London Metropolitan Police Force has planned to use live facial recognition during the event. This is strongly opposed by civil society groups, who state that it represents a threat to individual privacy. There is a realistic possibility of protests, including direct action in London before, during and after the event. The next notable event is the Venice Film Festival between the 27th of August and the 6th of September. This takes place in the context of rising anti-tourism protest movements in Europe, and earlier this summer protests have already occurred in Venice against the wedding of US billionaire Jeff Bezos. It is likely that anti-tourism groups will stage demonstrations during the events due to the large influx of short-term travellers. These protests are likely to take the form of small symbolic cases of direct action, which may nevertheless cause some disruptions. The final event to highlight is on 31st of August, several Australian-based neo-Nazi groups have planned to carry out a march in central Sydney and other large Australian cities. The protest occurs during a period of heightened activity of the Australian far right. Earlier in August, approximately 100 people marched in central Melbourne in an event organised by an Australian self-described National Socialist group. It's highly likely that both protests and counter-protests by anti-fascist groups will be recorded on the day, likely driving a high police presence. Traffic disruptions are likely.
Now, we turn to South America, where Joshua explores how Ecuador's security environment is evolving following the extradition of a major gang leader, and what recent violence could signal for the months ahead.
In our previous regional flashpoint, we spoke about the arrest of Fito, the leader of Ecuador's largest gang, Los Choneros, who was extradited to the US on 20th of July. We assessed that this would highly likely lead to a spike in gang violence across the country as rival gangs vie for control and there is a splintering of Los Choneros. This has taken place. There has been a significant escalation in the conflicts between Los Choneros and its largest rival, Los Lobos, which is a Los Choneros splinter group. 3 cases of violence I would like to highlight include 9 people killed in a pool hall on the 19th of July, 17 people killed in a bar on the 27th of July, and a shooting at a nightclub which killed 8 people on the 11th of August. This has triggered the government to impose a renewed 60-day state of emergency across 4 provinces in Ecuador. These 4 provinces are Guayas, El Oro, Manabí and Los Rios. This law significantly expands the powers of the armed forces and the national police, who will highly likely carry out numerous arrests over the coming months. This spike in violence almost certainly comes due to the almost certain leadership vacuum in Los Choneros, which has made it rife for exploitation by its rival Los Lobos, who are attempting to expand their control in the Manabí province, which was previously a Los Choneros stronghold. The state of emergency, while initially likely to lead to a minor decrease in violence, will almost certainly increase pressure on the group and cause further fragmentation. This will highly likely trigger a splitting within Los Choneros, leading to more rival gangs vying for control over key drug smuggling routes.
That concludes this episode of Regional Flashpoints on the Global Risk Podcast. These updates are part of our Global Intelligence subscription, which includes weekly reports, in-depth briefings, and live Q&A sessions with our experts. To learn more, visit solisglobal.com. Thank you for listening.